No, we should help people make good choices. Do you know why? That's why we should get rid of DEI, which actually elevates and rewards people that have not necessarily worked as hard.
DEI just means diversity, equity, and
No, it means
inclusion.
didn't earn it, but yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't.
I know.
Well, why would you say that then? You know it
Well, because
doesn't.
the essence of DEI means didn't earn it.
No, it doesn't. It
Yes,
means
it does.
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
And I will explain
Again.
what's wrong with inclusion. What's so evil about that word that you don't like it?
Okay, well, in practice, not the word itself.
All right, another tough debate on DEI and systemic racism. So let's continue with this video.
Hello, my name is Malcolm, and I guess my question to you today is, when did systemic racism end, and what is your definition of systemic racism?
Systemic racism is a law on the books that prohibits an individual from doing something based on their race. It largely ended with the Equal Rights Amendment and the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s.
Okay, and so do you think that it just ended right then and there, and there's no lingering effects of that could, you know, kind of explain some of the disparities we see today, or no?
If the hypothesis of lingering intergenerational 60-plus year effects are true, then you must tell me how Jews have done so materially well post-Holocaust, despite everything being taken from them.
Well, I don't think that's a one-to-one
You're right, Jews had it much worse than blacks.
Well, I think that also
have black Americans ever had a crazy fanatical dictator trying to kill half their population in a span of 5 years?
We have been enslaved for hundreds of years.
No, that's not the question. I'm saying I'm saying Jews actually had it far worse than black Americans did in the 1930s and 40s. Way worse.
But do we have to look at Jews as how we should, like black people should just
No, I'm saying you have to prove the argument that it applies to other groups. So your argument is that things pass down through generations, right? That there's aftershocks, there's a ripple effect. We discount that as very minimal at best. So you have to show me another minority group that has suffered that it held them back.
So for black people to have, or for the 60-plus, you know, like disparity to be true, you have to see that in another group.
Well, yeah, because then it's a rule, right? So the rule should apply to other groups that had other types of suffering.
But the way black people were treated in America isn't the same as any other group.
Well, I mean, Asians were put in internment camps actually in the 1930s and 40s.
Well, yeah, they
Again,
were.
and Jews came with no money in the 40s or 50s after.
And that hurt their communities.
Right, but then they were able to overcome it. So how is it that Asians are super wealthy now?
They were put in internment camps and then let out of camps.
Yeah,
and then,
but for 2 or 3 years, some Asians and Chinese and Japanese were in internment camps with no ability to own property, run business. I mean, it was terrible. Every group has gone through some period or form of suffering. And let me ask you a question. Do you think that the material bad status of black America right now has anything to do with decisions that black Americans have made?
I think that while it may have, that might be part of the reason, I think that there has been a push for black Americans to make that choice.
Okay, I don't understand what you mean.
I would say, like, take the war on drugs, for example. I would think that that is a way that black and white people were using, you know, drugs at similar rates, but black people were punished for it more severely and given longer sentences.
Okay, none of that is correct, but that's fine.
Well,
so
it is.
It's based on income, not based on race. But again,
but those are pretty much the same thing.
Again, I always find the war on drugs argument so laughable. You don't want to go to jail for doing cocaine, don't do cocaine. Like, I don't understand the argument. Like, it's not that hard. It's not complex stuff, right? It's as if, like, wait, so the argument is that a bunch of black people were doing cocaine and they caught us and we're the problem.
Well, they were given longer sentences than white people,
again,
even though white people did the same drugs at the same
hotly
rate.
And highly debated, but it still is.
It's not.
Well, again,
I've heard it from a lot of sources.
If you distill it down based on the quality of attorney they had based on their income level, it just so happens a lot of black Americans had a lower income level.
Well, why is that though? And I think there's a reason that's the case.
And just so
and
we're
I think
clear,
that's a systemic reason.
The war on drugs was insanely popular with black leaders back in the 1980s because black communities were actually being ravaged by drugs. There's a reason why we launched it.
Well, why are they were put in there in the first place?
So the government like put a bunch of cocaine in the inner city?
Into the inner cities, that's true.
No.
I believe that is true.
That's not true.
Well, you don't have to. Well,
yeah,
you can move on from that then.
It's okay, but let's try to find some common ground because I don't want this to be overly combative.
Okay, I would agree. Yeah.
Would you prefer a country that prioritizes race or one that prioritizes merit?
I think we should have a country that prioritizes merit, and I think we need to look at why some races are seen as less meritorious than others.
Okay, so again, just to go back to it, I can give you another example. Cubans came here with nothing. Any Cubans in the audience? Nothing, right? Nothing, right? Am I right? Nothing. Because of Castro. Like the poorest people ever to come to America would be Cubans. They're incredibly wealthy per capita now. How does it keep on happening with every other group, but Black America is like seemingly always held back?
Well, I think you also have to look at, there are Cubans who move here with wealth. It's the ones who are rich enough to move.
Okay, again,
at least a lot of them are.
Again,
and I think that even the ones who do come here, with nothing, which a lot do.
But you have to, so in order for your hypothesis to be true, it needs to bear out with one other group. So there have been, what?
Wait, what do you think my hypothesis is?
Your hypothesis is one of intergenerational struggle, that what has happened 60 years ago has direct impact to the material well-being of what happens today. We reject that premise.
You don't think that history affects the president?
Not nearly as much as you think it does, actually.
Well,
we believe that you are most importantly a consequence of your agency and your actions. Most importantly. And yes, there are historical implications that impact you. Of course they do. But to just say something that happened not in your lifetime and not even in all of your dad's lifetime.
Well, it happened in my grandmother's lifetime, though.
Right.
And it
Point
affected
being,
how my dad grew up, and it affected how, what he had to do to get where he is, and for me to do what I did to get here.
Okay,
as well.
but you got to break that down though.
Do you want me to explain my whole family's history of how we?
Not necessarily, no. But at some point you have to say, despite all the bad stuff happening to us, we still could have made good choices and we would have flourished.
Well, I think you can make good choices, and I think that you should also help people make good choices, because I don't see why we shouldn't.
No, we should help people make good choices.
Okay.
Do you know why? That's why we should get rid of DEI, which actually elevates and rewards people that have not necessarily worked as hard.
DEI just means diversity, equity, and
No, it means
inclusion.
didn't earn it, but yeah, that's fine. But
it doesn't.
I know.
Well, why would you say that then?
Well, because the essence of DEI means didn't earn it.
No, it doesn't. It
Yes,
means
it does.
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
And I will explain
Again.
what's wrong with inclusion. What's so evil about that word that you don't like it?
Okay, well, in practice, not the word itself, this is a forced corporate program or college program, however you want to put it, that is putting people in positions that have less. I went with this previous guy. It's very simple. You are elevating things that do not matter, that should not be in the matrix of making decisions.
DEI isn't just about hiring. It can be research to find, disparities of, diseases against different groups. And it can be it's not just race. It's also, disabilities. It's also veterans. That's a group of people that we include here at Texas
So
A&M.
I want to get to the next question, but here's my plea to you and to all of Black America, which is this. You could pick the Salvadorians, the Mexicans, the Iranians, the Persians, the Syrians, the Lebanese. You could pick any country. The ones that have succeeded reject the attitude that you and the prior guy have said.
What do you think my attitude is?
Again, your attitude is very clear. You are prioritizing the past and de-emphasizing agency in the immediate.
I am saying that the past should
yeah, but all these
have
groups,
an effect on what we do
all
now.
these other groups do not believe this, and that because when
have
they
you
don't.
talked to all of these other
well,
groups?
again, you can look at their cultural ethos. You can look at how.
What?
Again, so you cannot find in major Cuban literature in Miami this belief well, I'm not able to succeed because they took my farm away and everything's gone in Castro.
That's
Instead,
not what I'm saying, and that's not what anyone who's pushing for DEI
no, it
is
is
saying.
though, and that's the problem.
No, but the vast majority of people I've talked to who support DEI don't say that.
Okay, they might not say it, but again, in practice, but I'm
they
saying
don't practice it either.
in Black America, it is a dominant worldview, irrefutably, that focuses on past injustices and not future prosperity. Can we agree on that?
Well, okay, can you say that again?
In Black America, there is an attitude, a worldview, an ethos that is predominantly focused on past injustices, not on future prosperity.
Well, I think one, you're simplifying it too much. I think Black Americans see that there has been past injustices, and those past injustices are still here to some extent.
Has that
today.
mindset worked for Black America?
Well, what do you mean? It worked for MLK. It worked for him.
Actually, MLK actually had the exact opposite. MLK would be marching in the streets against DEI, actually.
No, he would not be.
Well, he said, I don't care about color, I care about content of character. DEI cares about color.
DEI is about making an inclusive space for everyone of every background.
DEI and wokeness believe that every action is impacted by some systemic injustice and that DEI can fix it. We're not going to agree much. My final plea is this. I just hope Black America stops this victim mentality and embraces a victor mentality. They'll be much better if they do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Well, that's a very interesting video, listening to Charlie debating, this college kid, on DEI and then also systemic, racism, even though we know that history, shows that, the black people here sidelined, when it comes to benefiting, some couple of things. And then that's some of the reasons why Martin Luther King, was actually, fighting for the liberation of this black community. But what I can say is that some of those things, tend to happen between the time of the 50s, 60s, 70s. But then now in this 21st, century, particularly, this very 2025, I think that things have really changed greatly. But one thing, I could have say is that if it were to be possible for some of these black Americans for them to return to Africa for, let's say, 1, 2, or 3 years time, and then they return back to America, I think that some of them, will make better decisions, and some of them will not do what they do. They will tend to look at the world, in a different way. If you look at, someone, who has suffered here, in Africa and have an opportunity to go to the US, if you see the person, working, you see that the person will tend to work more harder, and the person will try to avoid himself from putting himself, into crime or do anything, that will make him to return back to Africa. It seems like these guys, happens to be there, and they are fortunate, to be there. Of course, maybe probably their grandfather, mothers, and all that, had that very opportunity to be able to go there. So some of them, were giving birth there, and then they able to at least have this better life, that the Americans, tend to made available to some of them. So they do not understand how bad, things are over here. So that's the reason why I see they could feel that, oh no, maybe probably they are not benefiting, enough, because I don't think you should be saying that the government are not doing well, when it comes to the black America, but yet you went on to find yourself, committing crime, impregnating women, refusing to take responsibilities. And of course, you could see some, engaging themselves, on drugs, fighting, and all that. Of course, that's that opportunity that they're supposed to use to at least to change the narrative. Whatever that must have happened in the past, we can't be able to deny the fact. But then right now, let's look at, the present and the future. That's why you see Kamala says that what can be unbordered by the world has been. Whatever that must have happened in the past has happened. We can't be able to change it, but we can change the present and the future. So I expect, most of these black Americans, for them to at least focus on the future. How do we change the narrative, and how can we do things, differently, so that people can look at black Americans not basically because of crime, but at least they should look at, the progress that we have truly made, and not just that, to also show it. Well, maybe probably people, feels that okay, the I, should be there, so that at least to be able to make these people, feel, inclusive, when it comes to society, being it, hiring job, and then the rest of it. But then some people may not see it, in that very way. But then I could say that people should be employed, based on merit. People, should be considered based on merit, and not just because of, their diversity in the process of trying to make people, feel among. Nonetheless, if any black person, is qualified, I think that the person, should be hired, and not that the person should be bringing in because the person is black. No, because in the process of that, it tends to reduce quality. Maybe whatever that they needed, to do, you see, you can't be able to perform well, at your job place. Reason being is because you are employed because of, diversity, or you are employed because of, and maybe probably the person might fail in its responsibility. So it's better for people to be employed if they are qualified, and not just because of the color of their skin. I think that that would be better. Or nonetheless, let me just say that some of those things are things that happened before. Maybe probably right now, things like that, are not happening. But nonetheless, let me also hear your thought and opinion at the comment section. I may God bless you as you do so. So have a wonderful day, and goodbye.